Hello and welcome again to our course Building Cost Estimation Simplified. Today's topic is Mathematics for Estimation. Let's look at the learning objectives. The lesson objectives for today's video lesson are: differentiate between length, area and volume, calculate the area and volume of different shapes, convert units of length, area and volume, learn about weight and density, calculate average of multiple values, calculate slope, learn concepts of time and work. This is a fairly easy topic because this would include mathematics that we have learned in our school, and so this will be a refresher for people who are already familiar with it, and it could be a new learning experience for people who are totally different into the field of estimation. So there are different kinds of measurements, and they're represented in various manners. So when we look at the three types of mathematical shapes that we come across often, would be the length, area and the volume. As you see, length is one-dimensional, area is two-dimensional and volume is three-dimensional, which means for length we would need only one dimension to represent it. For area we would need two sides or two dimensions to represent it, and for volume we need three. We have the measurement of the distance between house to school. That would be in length, that would be in kilometers or meters, and the carpet area, the carpet that is to be laid in a house would be measured in area, and the amount of soil that is dug from a trench would be represented in volume, and it is a three-dimensional quantity. So in our when we are constructing buildings, there are different shapes that we come across, and the common 3D shapes, the three-dimensional shapes are sphere, cube, cuboid, cylinder, hexagonal prism, triangular prism, cone, square-based pyramid, which is a pyramid with a square base, and a triangular-based pyramid, which is a pyramid with a triangular base. And it helps for us to understand the area, to know about the surface area and the volume of these shapes, because this would be handy for us when we do the calculation related to estimation. Next, we learn an important concept, which is the average of numbers. We would often use it for finding the average value of different tasks. Average of numbers is the sum of numbers divided by the number of numbers. Example, to find the average depth of pits dug by 5 people. 5 people have been assigned to dig 2 pits each. So how do we find the average depth of a pit? So this is a very simple example. Let's look at how we do it. So we have a situation where we have 5 people who have been assigned to dig pits 2 each per person, maybe for planting trees. And then what we want to know is what is the average depth of the pit. So for this, what we do is we find the sum of all the pits which has been first dug. So it will be pit 1. Let's name it pit 1. And the sum of pit 1 is 4.6. That is by adding 0.8 meters, 0.9 meters, 1.1 meters, 0.8 meters, and 1 meter. And when we come to pit 2, that's again the second pit dug by each worker, A, B, C, D, and E. We have 0.9 meters, 1 meters, 1.2 meters, 0.9 meters, and 1.2 meters. And the sum of pit 2 is 5.2. Now to find the average, first we have to find the sum of the total entity that is being provided to us. In this case, we have 10 pits. So the total sum is 980 centimeters, and the number of pits is 10. So the average depth of a single pit would be 980 divided by 10, 98 centimeters. And this means that 98 centimeters or 0.98 meters. So which means that the values that out of all the values that we have been given, 98 centimeters is the average value of the depth of the pit. Now we look at the concept of length. The measurement or extent of something from end to end is called length. We commonly use meter or foot to measure length. For larger distances, we use kilometers to represent the length. For example, distance from school to home, length of a road, etc. Are examples of length. Now we use scales, we use measuring tapes on site, we use a rod wheel to make measurements on the site, and so these are some of the tools that we use. So it is very important for all values to be in the same unit to perform mathematical operations. So if we have, say, one unit, one entity, say we have in meters, and then we have another material or anything, any quantity in centimeters, in order to perform any mathematical operations between them, it is important that both of them are in the same unit. So if we have one entity in meters and the other in centimeters, either we have to convert both into meters or both into centimeters in order to perform a mathematical operation. So for that, there are some conversion tables. So we have it on the screen, the relation between centimeters and millimeters. 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeters. 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. 1 kilometer is equal to 1000 meters. And we have the conversion of feet and inches. So we have 1 feet is equal to 12 inches. 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. 1 mile is equal to 1360 yards. And 1 mile, when we convert it into kilometers and meters, it is 1.609 kilometers and 1609 meters respectively. The relation between meter and feet is 1 meter is equal to 3.28 feet. The relation between foot and centimeters, 1 foot is equal to 30.48 centimeters and 1 inch is equal to 22.54 centimeters. So these are very handy measurement charts which we can use when we need to convert one value from one unit to another. The concept that we next introduce is perimeter and area. Perimeter and area are interrelated, but we'll see what is the difference between both. Suppose the perimeter is the length required to surround a shape, and the enclosed space inside the perimeter is the area. So, for example, we have say a rectangle of sides A and B, and in order to find what is the boundary of it, what is the distance on its border, that is what we mean by perimeter. So a perimeter is a concept that would be handy for us when we are trying to find out the boundary wall that we need to construct around a fence, construct around a plot, or if we want to construct a fence around a field, again we use the concept of perimeter. So the way we do is we measure the length A plus length B plus length A again and plus length B. So the perimeter in this case would be sum of sides, which would be A plus B plus A plus B, which is 2 times A plus B. Now the area is the space enclosed inside this figure, the space that is enclosed within the boundary. The way we find out the area is by multiplying one side into the other, and so in this case it would be A into B. Now we'll go on to look at the perimeter for different shapes, the common shapes like square, rectangle, triangle and trapezoid. We know that broadly we make a sum of the sides, the length of the sides, and that is how we get the perimeter. So for a square, because the sides are equal, we have one side as A. So the 4 sides will sum up to 4 times A. So the area, the perimeter of a square is 4 times A. For a rectangle, 2 sides are equal, 2 opposite sides are equal, which means that the total perimeter would be sum of all sides, and it would mean 2 times A, which is one side, and 2 times B, which is the other side. And so total it becomes 2 times A plus B. When it comes to a triangle, again we have 3 sides, A, B and H, and the perimeter is the sum of these sides, which is A plus B plus H. For a trapezoid, again we have the perimeter as the sum of sides, and we calculate it as A plus B plus C plus D. Now we look at the area of different shapes. We were discussing perimeter so far, and which means we were talking about the boundaries of objects. Now we are going to talk about the area enclosed by these boundaries. So for the square that we were talking about, which had a perimeter as 4A, when it comes to area, it is the product of the sides. So it becomes A into A, which becomes A square. So usually we have the area of a rhombus is base into height, and so for a rectangle it becomes A into B, which is the product of the sides. And when it comes to a triangle, it becomes half into base into height, where the base is A and the height is B. So it will become A into B divided by 2. And for a trapezoid or any area to find the area of a trapezoidal shape, what we do is we add the base width plus top width, divide it by 2, and then multiply it by the height. Now I'll give you an example. Shweta wants to fence the garden in front of the house on 3 sides with lengths 20 meters, 12 meters and 12 meters. Find the cost of fencing at the rate of rupees 150 per meters. What will be the cost of grass if per square meter grass costs rupees 25. So we know that there are 2 aspects to be found out here. One is the fencing, which means we have to find the perimeter, and the other is the cost of grass enclosed inside the fencing, which is the area. So first we will go about to find the perimeter of the garden. We need to only fence 3 sides. There's no mention of the 4th side, so we will just add 3 sides, the measurements of 3 sides, which is 20 meters plus 12 meters plus 12 meters. The sum becomes 44 meters. So this is the perimeter of the garden, and so the cost of fencing would be per rate, which is per meter it is 150 rupees. So we multiply it by the perimeter that we got. So the total amount becomes rupees 6,600. Next we are going to look at the area of the garden, because we have to find the cost of grass. The area of garden is, again, we know that it is the product of sides, so it becomes 20 into 12, which is 240 square meters. And the cost of grass is given as 25 rupees per square meter. So we multiply it by the area that we got from the previous calculation, and it becomes rupees 6,000. So next we look at area of a cuboid, and for this what we do is we basically look at it as small rectangles, and then we find the area of each rectangle and then we add it. So it becomes 2 times the area of each side, where H, L and B are the height, length and width of a cuboid respectively. Now we look at the area of a cube. The total surface area of a cube is 6a square, where a is one side. So because there are the cube has got a side of a, the length is a, and so the total surface area becomes 6a square. Now the area of a cylinder, what we consider is that we have the there is a top and bottom portion which is circular. So the area of a circle is pi r square, we know that. And because there are 2, it becomes 2 pi r square. And the area of the surface becomes 2 pi r, which will be the length of the perimeter of the circle, and the height, which is h. So it actually becomes a rectangle with the side h and the other side as 2 pi r. So the area of the surface becomes 2 pi r h, and when we add the circular parts which are at the top and the bottom, it becomes 2 pi r square. So the sum of it becomes the total area of a cylinder, which is 2 pi r h plus 2 pi r square. Now we look at the application of these measurements, how we apply it in a project of estimation. So usually when we want to do the whitewashing or distempering of a room, then we use the calculation to find out the measurements. So we have the internal measurement of a room as 12 meters by 8 meters by 4 meters. The task is to find the total cost of whitewashing of all the 4 walls of the room, and the whitewashing per meter square cost is given, which is rupees 5 per square meters. And there is a door that is given, which is of height 2 meters and width 1.5 meters. That's one single door that is there in the room. So how do we find the area that is required for whitewashing, and how do we calculate the cost of whitewashing? The solution is, we find the length of the room, width of the room, and the height of the room are given, which are 12 meters, 8 meters, and 4 meters respectively. And now we find the total internal area of the room walls, and the way we find is, we find 12 into 4, that's one side, where 4 is the height, and the other side is 8 into 4, that's the other side. And because there are two sides of these lengths, we multiply by 2. So the total internal area of the room walls become 160 meters square. Mind you, we haven't taken into consideration the ceiling as of now. So we've just considered 4 walls as of now. So area of the door is 2 meters into 1.5 meters, which is 3 square meters. Now, what we do is, we are not going to whitewash the door. So we subtract the area of the door from the area of the wall. So which becomes 160 minus 3, which is 157 square meters. So this much is the wall area to be whitewashed. Now, cost of whitewashing, this area, the wall area minus the door area is found out by multiplying it by rupees 5. So we multiply the value of 157 meters square into rupees 5, we get 785 rupees as the cost of whitewashing the wall. Now we look at the area of the ceiling, which is 12 meters by 8 meters. And then we get the value as 96 square meters. Now, again, we have the same rate of whitewashing, which is rupees 5 per square meters, and then we multiply it by the area of the ceiling, which is 5 into 96, which is 480, which is rupees 480. So the total cost of whitewashing will be the cost of whitewashing the walls plus cost of whitewashing the ceiling, which is 785 rupees plus 480, and this is rupees 2,265. Now we'll look at the concept of volume. So the volumes of some of the common objects or some of the shapes that we will come across in the building projects. We have a rectangular prism, triangular prism, quadrilateral prism, and a cylinder. The volume is the amount of space covered in 3 dimensions. And the volume is usually the base area into the 3rd dimension, which could be the height. So let's see how we use the formula that we know for volume to find out the earthwork that is required in a building. So we have a pit with dimensions of length 5 meters, breadth 3 meters, and depth 1 meter. The volume of the pit is length into breadth into height, which is 5 into 3 into 1 cubic meters, which is 15 cubic meters. The quantity of earthwork done will be the volume of the pit, and that is 15 cubic meters. Now the rate of earthwork per cubic meters is rupees 100. So the total cost will be the quantity of earthwork multiplied by the rate. So this will become 15 into 100, that is rupees 1500 cubic meters. So now we apply the unit rate into the total earthwork, the total quantity of material, and then we found the cost of that particular activity. Some of the volumes of common shapes. For a cube, the volume is usually 3 times the side, which is side into side into side. Volume of a cuboid is length into breadth into height. And volume of a cylinder is base area into height, which is pi r square h. The applications of these formulae would be in when we have a cylindrical tank, say a water tank, and then the water that it can hold, or what a water tank will hold, is called the volume. The number of cement bags used to plaster that cylindrical tank would be found out in surface area, and the number of smaller tanks that can be filled from it, that will be a function of the volume. Now we move on to the concept of slopes. This is used when we have a sloping site, when we have gradients, when there is a gradient for the road, or when we have cut and fill applications on a sloping site, where we cut one portion of the site and then we fill another portion. So in these circumstances, the slopes play an important role. So usually the slope is represented as the ratio of vertical distance by horizontal distance. So this actually means that for example, if we have to climb 1 meter height and we have to travel 30 meters for it. So the slope would be that for every it will be 1 by 30. For every 1 meter climb, the person will have to travel a 30 meters horizontal distance. So it is either represented as in ratio or in percentage. When it is, when we have an example of like for 1 meter height and we are traveling 3 meters, when we express the slope in ratio, it becomes vertical distance by horizontal distance, which is 1 by 3. And when we express it in ratio, it is 1:3. When we have, instead of this want to represent it as a percentage, it becomes vertical distance 1 by 3 into 100. So that becomes 33 and 1 by 3 percentage. Now we have an exercise of depth of a farm pond is 1.2 meters. And the horizontal distance from the base of the slope to the ground level is 2.4 meters. What is the slope of the sides of the pond? The vertical distance we know that the slope in percentage, the formula is vertical distance by horizontal distance into 100. So it becomes, the vertical distance is 1.2 meters and the horizontal distance is 2.4 meters. It is important to make sure that both these dimensions are in the same units. If it is meters, both have to be in meters, and if it is in centimeters, then either convert one of them into meters or into centimeters. So we divide 1.2 by 2.4 into 100, and we get a slope of 50%. Next we look at weight, capacity and density. So weight is, there are different conversion factors. For 1 ton, it's 1000 kg, 1 ton is also 10 quintal. 1 quintal is 100 kilograms and 1 kilogram is 1000 grams. A common a truck or a lorry carrying 10 tons of sand is a normal, I mean that's the range that we'll have to keep in mind, that a truckload of sand will be about 10 tons and a bag of rice or wheat would weigh close to 1 quintal and so on. Now we look at what the capacity of a container is, or when we mention capacity, what we mean is the volume that it can hold. So for example, a jug can have a capacity to hold 250 ml of water, and then we say that the jug is having a capacity of 250 ml. Similarly, we express the capacity of a water tank in terms of how much of volume of water it can hold, volume of liquid it can hold. Now density is an important concept that we need to be aware of. It's a mass of any material per unit volume. Weight is when we apply the acceleration due to gravity. So, which also means that, water at 1 meter cube volume weighs 1000 kilogram per meter cube, which means the density of water is 1000 kilogram per meter cube. So we have a table showing densities of various materials. We can have a comparison with water, which weighs 1000 kilogram per meter cube. And we can see how it is for other building materials like concrete, lime, cement, mortar, gravel, stone, brick wall. So this shows the density of different materials. Now we look at the time and work relations in any project. This is quite important when we are calculating labor rate and productivity, etc. The time and duration. If a task can be done by one laborer in n days, then in 1 day, 1 by nth of a task is completed. So this is one important concept that we need to keep in mind. For example, if a work can be completed in 4 days, in 1 day, 1/4 of the task is completed. It can apply to a person or a crew. So this is the basic understanding that we have when we work out time and duration in a building project. Now, if 1 day's work of a laborer is Y, then the total days of work needed to complete that work is 1 divided by 1 by Y. Now, let's summarize. In today's video, we learned about some of the basic concepts of measurements, which will be helpful for us when we are on an estimation project. Nowadays, softwares do give us freedom to find the area by just finding the perimeter or area are all built-in functions, but it is important for estimators to have the conceptual knowledge of these to have a better clarity or to have an idea of when we are doing comparisons or to check whether there are any errors, or even when we are doing small projects which can be done manually. We learned about some of the mathematical concepts which are useful in estimation, like the length. How do we measure length? Then the perimeter and the area, and then and we looked at some of the formulae to find out the perimeter and area of geometrical shapes, which are very common. Then we also looked at average. We looked at finding slopes. How do we represent slopes? How is a slope calculated in a building project or on a site? And then we looked at weight and density. We also looked at time and work. I would like to acknowledge the material that has been taken from Barefoot Technicians, which is has been prepared for the barefoot technicians by Government of India and ILO. And the handouts that have been given are also from the same organization. We've come to the end of our lesson. So let's recapitulate. We learned about some of the mathematical concepts which are useful in estimation: length, perimeter and area, average, slope, weight, density, time and work. In case you have any clarifications, kindly leave your comments in the discussion box.